Hello everyone. Let's start with the installation of MySQLslap on Ubuntu system. We'll quickly check if MySQLslap is available or not. No, it's not available. I have a set of command which I'm going to execute one by one. So the first command is basically to update the repository, app repository. The second one is basically to install the MySQL client. As you all know, MySQLslap utility is part of the MySQL client package. With this, we are able to install MySQLslap on Linux VM. Now we'll move on to the Windows side, how to get MySQLslap on Windows. Okay, so basically, you can use this particular MySQL community website wherein you have the option to download MySQL installer, which will basically install the MySQL server, or you can download the MySQL binaries in a zip format. So this is the installer and this is the zip file. So I've already extracted it. So MySQLslap will be part of the bin folder. So here you see MySQLslap. So you can call this particular file and execute the MySQLslap commands. Okay, let's move on to the command prompt. So I am already in the bin directory. I have a set of commands which I will be executing as part of the um, demo session, which will help me to identify how much time or what is the load on the server if I execute a specific set of query. So let me quickly copy this out and we'll put it over here. So what I am doing over here is I'm calling MySQLslap utility. I'm providing the hostname of my MySQL Flexi instance, the port number, username. I'm providing hyphen hyphen password, which will prompt me for a password. I'm ensuring a SSL communication. Now, this is interesting. Concurrency. So think of concurrency as number of simultaneous users, or rather number of users who will be executing a specific script simultaneously. So it is 300. How many times these 300 users will execute the script? It will be 30 times. How many queries will be executed by these 300 users? It is 3000. What is the query that these 300 users will execute? It is a auto-generated query which will be generated by MySQLslap utility. Hyphen hyphen verbose will give you the detailed information about the test result. So when we use hyphen hyphen auto generate hyphen SQL, it basically creates a database named as MySQLslap, and it creates a table as T1 inside it, and it first inserts the data and then it uh, runs select query against the particular data that is stored in the table, and it gives us an output that how much time it took to execute the query. So we'll see more details of it pretty soon. So let me log in. Okay, I've logged in. So I've initiated the test. So let me quickly refresh it. You see there's a table as MySQLslap. So I'll quickly execute this query. Yeah, you see I have got quite a few number of queries which are being executed at this particular point in time. Now, if I have to show you the contents of the table, this is the content that you can see of this is all auto generated values which are there in this particular table. So once the run is complete, you will see this particular database getting auto deleted. Let's go back to this particular CLI. So we'll just wait for it to get complete. Okay, here it is. It got completed. We'll quickly refresh this. Okay, the database is deleted. Now, if we look at this particular data, let's quickly analyze this. So, average number of seconds it took for all the queries to execute is 2.816 seconds. The minimum runtime for all the query is 2.3 seconds. The maximum runtime is 3.5 seconds. The number of clients which are running the query is 300. That is what we have supplied over here. uh, Average number of queries each of the client executed is 10. The total number of queries that we asked to execute is 3000. So each client executed 10 number of queries. Now we have few more commands which I will basically execute. So let's take the second command. Okay, so what this particular command says, there is a change in parameter. I'll only talk about the parameters which are new to this particular command. So there are two new parameters, which is number init calls equal 10, number char calls equals 20. What it means is when this particular benchmarking test is initiated, MySQLslap will create a database and a table, and it will ensure that in the table there are 10 columns which have data type of integer, and there are 20 columns which have the data type as varchar. So let's quickly execute it and we'll see if we can track the columns or not. Okay. Okay. Oops. Okay. Okay. Test is initiated. We'll move back to workbench. We'll do. Okay. We can see the table is the database got created, and this is the table that I'm talking about. Init column, there are 10 integer column and there are 20 varchar columns. So these are basically useful for real world scenario wherein we know that okay, the application that we are incorporating with MySQL Flexi instance will have number of init columns or number of varchar columns, and with a garbage with a, yeah, you can call it as dummy value or garbage value. With this dummy value, we are able to execute a test. We are able to perform a stress test against the database to understand how much time will it take for such a scenario. Okay, so we'll just see if the run is completed or not. No, it is taking time. So now when this particular run is in progress, what we can also check is we can basically check for the resource utilization. So we'll quickly move on to the Azure portal and I will perform a refresh. Okay, so you see there's a small spike um, which happened pretty, yeah, you see there is a spike which we are able to see. So this particular spike is basically denotes that okay, the stress test was performed and under certain condition with respect to resource that are configured for this particular instance and the type of queries that are executed, we do see a CPU spike. So this will help us analyze that how much of a resource is required for our flexi instance. Okay. Okay, let's move back. Okay, we have got the results. So you see the run, it took more time comparatively to the first run. So where we can see the average time for each query is approximately 17 seconds, and rightly so, because we have increased the number of columns over here. So moving further, we will quickly um, try to replicate a scenario wherein we have a query which is there in a we have a table which is already existing in our environment, and we have a query that we know that our users are going to use it. So this is the query basically, which it's a complex query which we do know that yes, our users are going to use it. So we'll just try to perform a stress test against this particular query. So we'll quickly hit enter. Okay, so now what we are doing over here is we are asking this particular query to be executed by 50 users and for 5 times. So per user will execute this query 5 times. Okay, now so this is a heavy query. To be very honest, this is a complex query, and the database against which I'm executing this query is a loaded database. Now if I have to show you, this is the database against which I'm running this query, and this particular database has approximately 5 million rows. So let's quickly check the resource utilization. I feel the resource utilization has spiked up, and that's why we are seeing. Okay, so it is on the high. As you can see, the CPU utilization is approximately 75%. Now, this is what I wanted to show you. This database has a 5 lakh record. So this is kind of a near to prod scenario wherein we are running a query, we are performing a stress test against a database which has high amount of data, and yeah, rightly so, it will take time. So I'll quickly kill it off because I don't want my server to be blotted, or because I have to use it for other use as well. So I'll quickly check. Okay, I'll just wait for it. Okay, so it got killed. So Control C will help you to kill the query. Okay, now the last part is I will execute one query which will simulate a scenario wherein we have to basically insert data into a table. So we'll quickly check how much of data this employee table has. It has 1,000 records. So I'll quickly execute this particular query. So what this is doing is it is inserting data, a same set of data against for 10 users, and it is repeating itself 100 times. So this will give you the information how many queries each um, client has executed, and we'll see if the data is inserted or not. Yes, we do see. So 10 users 100 times, so it is 1,000. So 1,000 records got inserted. So similar way, you can probably, I would suggest you to explore MySQL slap functionality against your Azure database for my SQL Flexi instance, which will give you a clear idea as to how much of a resource is required for your instance, or if the queries needs to be fine tuned or not. Thank you.